And welcome back for requirement 8 of the Engineering Merit Badge. This is Tim Brown at the University of Iowa's National Advanced Driving Simulator. Today we're going to learn about the Engineering Code of Ethics and the relationship of that code to the Scout Oath and Law. So the Engineering Code of Ethics is to use knowledge and skills for development of human welfare, to be honest, impartial, and faithfully serve the public, employers, and clients, to strive to increase the competence and prestige of the profession, and to support the profession and societies of their discipline. And so, as we think about this, it's kind of how do I, as an engineer, act as a good citizen? And when we think about these topics, the first one kind of is the altruistic one of, what is the purpose of my field? And engineers need to go into this with the idea that their job is to make the world a better place, and to overall lift up society. And so over time, we want to do our work in a way that works towards the betterment of all mankind or all humankind. And we want to do that in a way that people trust us. And so we don't want to be cutting corners. We don't want to do things that might lead people to not trust us as engineers. And I think that societal trust is important in the work we do. We also want to strive to increase the competence and prestige of the profession. And so, for me, on the research side, when we talk about increasing the competence, it's developing new methodologies, new approaches for studying topics of interest. And so, on the research side of things, we get to spend a lot more of that in terms of increasing the professional competence of overall of our engineering discipline. But I think it's also focusing on the prestige, doing good work, having projects that last a long time and are not things you just throw away after 2 uses because they break. Those things lessen the prestige of the profession. And then we're all called to be members of societies that are associated with the discipline that we're in. And so for me, that means being members of societies associated with human factors and transportation safety. And so every engineer needs to identify with those areas where they can interact with others who share their discipline and learn more and grow as individuals, and also support those that are coming up behind you in the field, whether they be students or new workers in that field. So let's talk a little bit about how this code of ethics compares to the Scout Oath and Law. So for the Code of Ethics, compared to the Scout Oath and Law, we've got the Code of Ethics there on the left for reference, and on the right-hand side is the Scout Oath. And so when we think about it, a Scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. We say these things at every meeting, and sometimes we don't think about them as much as we should. But when I think about this, there are a few words that jump out to me where they come across in terms of overlapping with the engineering code of ethics. And so from the Scout Oath, the things that I pulled out are trustworthy. And that really points to the second line of the code of ethics. Loyal, again, tying into that second line of faithfully serving the public. Helpful ties into that first line, to use knowledge, the skills, and development of human welfare. Obedient, faithfully serve the public, again, ties in there. Striving to increase the competence of the profession is helpful, and obedient. Supporting the professions also falls under obedient. Thrifty ties in there with the human welfare aspects of things, And then clean, again, ties back into that entire second bullet in there, being honest, impartial, and faithfully serving. When you look through this, I want you to think about which of those words or a couple words in the Scout Oath jump out at you as being tied in, and how do they relate to the Code of Ethics for Engineers. Next up, we'll talk about the Scout Law. Again, we go through this at every meeting. On my honor, I will do my best to do my duty to God and my country, to obey the Scout Law, to help other people at all times, to keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. And again, as I go through the, do my duty, is words that really jump out. Obey the Scout Law, help other people, and mentally awake are all things that jump out as being tied in with the Engineering Code of Ethics. How do those phrases or other phrases in there tie into the Code of Ethics? Those are things I want you to explore and discuss when you write up your responses to requirement 8 in the workbook. I think it's always important when we think about scouting is, we talk about the fact that the Scout Oath and Law apply not only when we're at the troop meeting, but also in other aspects of our daily life. And so I think it's important to think about what our obligations are. And even for us Scouters who join you at the meetings as adult leaders, we promise these same things. And how do we apply them in our work life? And so I think this provides us a good opportunity to think about how that applies at least in one discipline. With that, I'll let you guys ponder the Engineering Code of Ethics, the Scout Oath, and the Law, and what the relationship between them is. So take some time, think about it, and then write down your thoughts on how the Code of Ethics for Engineers is like the Scout Oath and Law. And we'll talk to you next time.